So you got the first example, someone who makes six figures, but at the end of the month, they don't have, they don't have any extra money. They're broke. But they don't budget. Then you have example number two, where someone doesn't make six figures. They may make, say the average 40, 50,000 a year, but they budget. But yet somehow it always seems like they have money, or they're able to do things. They're able to go on trips. And you're wondering, how can they afford that? Hey everyone, I'm K.A. Will.
And I'm Gabby.
And we want to welcome you to another episode of Marriage Journey, where we talk about our unique journey in marriage, our experiences, and all those type of things. So we want to say hey to our culture family that's out there. And again, we call it K&G Culture because we realized even before we got married that we are responsible for creating our own culture in our household. So we hope that these videos inspire you to at least have talks, some discussions, and we hope that it also inspire you to create your own culture in your family.
Yep. So today we're going to talk about how finances affect marriage and kind of the advice that we've been given, what we've done with that advice, and then how we, handle money. So what advice have you been given about finances in marriage, or random quotes or discussions that you've had with other people about finances in marriage?
Yeah, so it's funny, before we got married, we spoke to a lot of people that we looked up to and respected about marriage. And then, of course, you had the unsolicited advice that we also got. And it's funny, we know that you hear finances is one of the top 3 reasons why marriages don't work, or, relationships don't work.
Right.
So I heard a lot of different things. I even had places of employment where the guys were like, don't get married, or make sure you don't give her all your money, this type of deal. And I thought it was funny how many different opinions I was hearing, because, there's some households where the guy does bring home all the money, but the wife is more, she's more knowledgeable, and she knows how to handle the money for the household better than the guy does. He's a good provider, but she's the one who manages, the finances that he provides. So I've heard that. I heard hide some of your money where your wife can't find it, and I'm just like, wow, really? It's been a lot of. To me, we heard some good and some bad. Again, like I said, it's just amazing to me how many different opinions and views you can hear. And what we're going to get into in this episode, again, I'm sure, some people gave advice on, have joint accounts. Some people say you better keep your accounts separate.
Right.
So a whole lot of stuff. So that was some learning that I had to do. Definitely an experience, knowing what to take in, what to not use, and what to use, for our situation. So what about you?
So I've heard recently that even though I make more, that I should let you give me a stipend or what's it called for the kids?
Allowance.
An allowance. Yep. Let you handle the money, I guess, maybe to protect pride or ego, not you specifically, but just in general.
Right.
To allow the man to handle the money, or to give an allowance, so it seems like he is the head of household. I definitely got the both get a joint account, don't get a joint account, keep your money separate, make sure you hide some money. And some things, like you said, some things I agree with, some things I don't. But if we think about it, those people who said, "Oh, well, make sure you hide your money," is probably their experience. 50% of marriages, I don't know if that's still true, but 50% of marriages end in divorce. So logically, if we're taking love out the picture and just saying that this is a transaction, or a business transaction, right?
A business agreement
and relationship, then kind of, I guess it does make sense. Protect your assets, right?
Wow.
Right? if
No, I see where you're coming from.
if again, if love is out the picture, we're not talking about all the mushy stuff. If we're saying that this is a business relationship, then I guess technically it makes sense to do prenups or to have your own account so no one can tell you what to do with it. But of course, we don't really believe that that's all marriage is.
And I can't speak for anybody else. Please, you guys, I'm not speaking for anybody else. I can only speak for me. But that to me right there can be the start of a problem. Because to me, like you said, that only makes sense if you're taking love out of the picture. So now it's like, what is this other person's priorities? That's where my mind goes. Because if to you, okay, I need to protect my assets and I'm taking love out of the picture, then is your priority me and us, or is your priority just you and your money? You see what I'm saying? So that to me can be a start of a problem. I find it interesting though that you've had people tell you, even though you make more, to allow me to give you an allowance. That is funny. I don't know what world that would work in, but I find that very funny. Like, that is crazy to me.
So that person is a proponent of joint accounts and just mixing all the money, not her money, or his money, but our money. And I think we could talk about like how we both agree that we say that it's our money and not separating. So that money isn't a problem. So that money is not a cause of our divorce. You know, if
Right.
you know, God forbid we do, but making sure that that's not a problem. Saying that it's our money, that we both work hard for it to build a legacy together, right, for the kids.
Oh, sorry. But what you just said to me is a good transition into this. So you guys may be asking, do we believe in joint accounts or separate accounts? And it's funny, we definitely had this conversation before we got married, and we believed in joint accounts. And it's funny how things happen. You know, you have an idea in your mind, but then to actually play it out in real life, sometimes you are faced with challenges, or you just see that some things just don't work out, even though you want to do it that way.
Right.
Because what happened to us, we came together and we said, hey, we're going to do joint accounts. So we
forget anyone who said separate accounts. You know, we are unified. We're going to do it together.
This is what we're doing. So what happened after we got married, we realized, well, you have certain things linked to your account that automatically come out. Or, what was the other thing? You have a relationship with this bank that you want to keep going because, they know you, they know the things that you've done, whatever transactions you've done with them before, this, that, the other. Credit.
You need help in the future.
Right. All of that type of deal.
Yeah.
So now we get married and we're trying to put the money together. And that was one of the things we ran into. We're like, man, as much as we try, Gabby had certain things linked to her account. I had certain things linked to my account. So what ended up happening after we got married was we did open up a joint account together. However, we still have our separate accounts, which is crazy. But what we ended up doing, like what I did, I added Gabby's name on all of my accounts. So she has a card to my account. She uses that account. I use that account. And vice versa. She added me as a name, a user on her account and her cards. So now I have cards for her account. So it just ended up doing that. So now, fast forward to where we are now. It's changed again, in my opinion. I don't know if you noticed this. But now how it's changed is we realize, well, let me not go to now just yet. A couple of years ago, we realized that because we were using certain accounts for certain things, it was harder. I don't know if you remember, we had a budget meeting and we realized, man, our money is scattered all over the place.
Right.
It's hard for us to realize if our money is being as effective as it can or efficient as it can be, being that we have it spread all over. Yes, we had an account. We kept record of what each account was doing.
Right.
But then when you see, say, extra money in that account, or one account is low and one is really high, you're like, what's going on? We're paying for everything. Why is it like this?
Right.
And our advice to you guys, if you see that happening, you probably have too many accounts open, or you're using too many accounts actively. So one of the things we started to do was we have a joint account where we don't touch it at all. That's the other thing we did. So it's like we have one primary account that pays for all the bills, our daily living, groceries, whatever we're doing throughout the day, throughout the week. That's one account. Another account that we barely even look at. In fact, I think the only time we really look at it is when we put money in there or when we have a budget meeting.
Right.
So that account doesn't even get touched. So that would be our advice to you guys. And now we're in the process. Now, if I fast forward to now, we're in the process of getting rid of the separate accounts that we talked about at the very beginning of our marriage. This was 8 years ago.
Right.
So just see the transition. See the process, how long it took. Even though wholeheartedly when we started, we just wanted to have joint accounts.
Right. So I think one of the takeaways from this conversation is that do whatever makes sense for you and your family. Or again, create your own culture, because maybe you do need that separate account or you need a joint account. But yeah, and things can be fluid and in flux. So it's not, do you have to always have a joint account, or do you always have to have separate accounts? Because I'm pretty confident that you'll find whatever makes sense for your family.
Yeah. Again, this was an 8-year process.
Yeah.
For us, to the point where we are now. And just a sidebar, we want to do more episodes on finances and budgeting and investing and all that stuff. So if you guys are interested, please let us know. We're going to try to get that to you guys in the future, and probably do a whole series, just like how we're doing Marriage Journey right now.
Right.
We're probably going to end up doing a whole series just on finances by K&G Culture. So look forward to that. Again, leave your comments and your questions, anything you might be interested in. Because what we realize, again, with money, you want to keep an open conversation. So to give an example, when we first got married, we were only having budget meeting, I want to say once every 3 to 6 months. The beginning.
More like 6, yep.
At the beginning. Yeah, at the beginning we were not having it often. And that's where we were at that time.
Right.
But it would have been better if we were doing it the way we're doing it now. So again, don't be hard on yourself, don't be hard on your spouse. See where you guys are together. You may be one place, just like the example we used earlier.
Right.
The man might be bringing home all the money, and then the wife is the one who's managing, taking care of everything around the house. So the wife may be here where it comes to budgeting or the budget meeting, and the husband could be here, or vice versa. The husband could be the one who's knowledgeable about finances and money, and the wife is down here. So you have to meet that happy medium when it comes to, okay, when we have budget meeting, how are we going to have budget meeting?
Right.
How are we going to run our finances?
Right.
But how are the decisions going to be made? What's important? What's priority? What's not priority?
Right.
So what have you learned? We haven't even really got into the specifics of budget meeting yet, but from our experience, what are some of the things that stood out for you when it comes to finances and our money and that type of deal?
Have a goal. Like have goals. Like, we're working, yes, maybe to live, to feed ourselves, feed the family, have a roof over our head, but then what's beyond that? What's beyond just taking care of the bills? Because if you just want the minimum, then you might not want to build wealth or whatever. But if the goal is to build wealth, then that means cutting back maybe on some things, increasing how much money we make, a side job, all that stuff. So that, and I find that when we have a goal in mind and work towards it, it makes it just much more fun, and it makes all the sacrifices and delayed gratification worth it. Sometimes. I'm just kidding. Most of the time. How about that? Most of the time. Sometimes you're just like, come on, man. Like, let's just enjoy ourselves and just splurge. But when I think about why I am sacrificing and denying myself, it's because of something greater. So yeah, having a goal was definitely was a game changer. Because I think before I was just like, I'm in med school, barely making it. We didn't have kids, so not really thinking about wealth. Because I knew that sure, eventually I'll have that, but what I have now is just bare minimum. And so like whatever we could do to make things work, fine. But then over time, I'm like, oh, we could actually. Oh, and also I feel like my lack of financial knowledge and what was possible. Again, just thinking, all right, we just pay what we can. Whatever extra, maybe we can go out to eat or something. And we have money for a rainy day, but yeah, I wasn't on that tip of, oh, I could do this. My money can grow. This can happen, blah, blah, blah. So then now as I learn and our income has increased, I was like, oh, there's things that can happen. Money can work for me and not me always having to work for money. So what about you? What's like your big thing about budgeting?
Yeah, that was funny.
It's true.
I realize a lot of our people, and when I say our people, I have to mention Black people, I have to mention Caribbean people. Two things stick out to me. We do not know enough about financial literacy.
That's it. Yeah.
But we try to do our best. Like our parents is what I mean. They try to do our best. The people who raised us, they try to do their best with money. They try to save. But that's one thing. We don't know enough. I'm glad it seems like now this generation, the young people, they're trying to learn. It's all over social media now. You can learn about finances. You can learn about investing. You can learn about creating something to leave as an inheritance for your children.
Right.
You learn about wills and stuff, like how important a will is to have something set in place that your family's taking care of. But the second thing is, I realize a lot of us look at our budget, not budget, I'm sorry. A lot of us look at our income and say we could never do anything with that income. Meaning,
no matter how.
no matter how big or small it is, I make this amount, so there's nothing that I can't do anything above what I'm doing right now.
Right.
That's simply
that was me.
not true.
Yeah.
It's just simply not true. Because along with that, I realize people don't realize the power of a budget. When you can see exactly where all your money is going, then you can make better decisions, or you're even more aware when you're in the store or when you're thinking about buying clothes, or you're thinking about splurging or whatever it may be. You just out, you want to hang out with somebody and you end up spending money when you hang out. You may be more inclined to say, you know what, I'm gonna come hang with you guys, but I'm not really trying to splurge like that or spend money like that. Right. I'll catch you guys next time. You're more conscious. But when you're not even conscious of where every dollar is going, then of course to you it's going to seem like you never get above or do more than what you're currently doing.
Right.
So I realize we don't realize that having that knowledge of the power of your dollar, your income, because a lot of times along with that we think in order for us to do more we have to make more, but that's not what it is. You may be surprised that you have enough to do more than what you're doing right now.
Right.
That's why I used the example earlier when we realized our accounts were all over the place. In that mindset, the way it was set up then, we would think, oh, we can't do above what we're doing now, when simply that's not true. It's just that if we put the money together and see what's going on, not have it scattered too far, we can have more control over it. Because you can have someone making, 6 figures and they don't have any money left at the end of the month, but they don't budget or anything like that.
And that is a real thing. Rich poverty, or however you want to call it.
Yeah, broke on a high level
Broke
is what
on
it's
a
called.
high level,
Broke
yeah.
on a high level. That's all it's called. We have seen that happen. We've heard stories of people that we know that happens. Whereas someone who doesn't, so you got the first example, someone who makes six figures, but at the end of the month, they don't have, they don't have any extra money. They're broke. But they don't budget. Then you have example number two, where someone doesn't make six figures. They may make, say the average 40, 50,000 a year, but they budget. But yet somehow it always seems like they have money, or they're able to do things. They're able to go on trips. And you're wondering, how can they afford that? Whereas before, our mindset was, I need to make six figures in order to do X, Y, Z.
Right.
That's not what it is. You got to start small. When you start with what God has blessed you with on a smaller level,
Right.
then as you increase, you're able to do more and more. But you'll be surprised what you can do with what you start with if it is managed properly, stewarded over, and you budget over it. So
That was a great advice.
yeah.
Yeah. So we learned a lot. Can't wait to share.
Yeah, so we are, hopefully this is just like an introductory of some of the things we went through earlier in marriage when it came to finances.
Yeah.
I feel as though maybe we should have talked more about how it could affect the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
But we got more into the budgeting side, so hopefully that was what you needed to hear, because that's what came out. So we want to thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Marriage Journey. I'm K.A. Will,
And I'm Gabby.
and we'll catch you guys next time.